Hello, and welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Dave Candido.
And we're coming at you with part 2 of Oliver Stone's Vietnam Trilogy. This time with Born on the 4th of July from 1989, starring Tom Cruise as the coming home from Vietnam War movie. Back to America and everything like that. Look at, I haven't shaved my mustache so I could look like Tom Cruise's character.
Pretty similar.
Yeah, he kind of was rocking it the whole time on there and so on like that. And
You're in the wrong
this
chair,
is definitely... Yeah, I'm in the wrong chair. Yeah, I'm in the wrong chair. I need the wheelchair part so I can go around, you know. And then you need to be in a wheelchair, too, and we should fight each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Some point in the desert.
I need some herpes
Mexico.
over here. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe had some pretty fat herpes on his face.
Yes, the movie that has the best wheelchair fight I think I've ever seen in a movie. I mean, I haven't seen that many wheelchair fights in a
Might
film.
be the
to
only
tell you
wheelchair
truth.
fight I've seen in a movie.
Maybe that's why it stands out so much to me. I kid you not, the first time I watched this movie, that was my take-home message out of all this stuff. And I know Oliver Stone's like, that wasn't the message I was going for.
You join the military, this will happen to you.
Yeah, next thing you know, you'll think it's all great and so on like that, but then you're in a wheelchair and there's some guy you're fighting in Mexico now. I know he's not a Mexican guy. He's just another white dude that you met down there, that your parents sent you down. They're like, you know what? Come on, Ronnie. I think you know what? You're getting kind of angry here. We need to send you somewhere that's got hookers and booze and other people that are like you.
And other fucking fucked up people. Yeah. God. Yeah, this was I remember we were talking about when we were talking about Platoon, I said like, the older I get, the more life experience I get, the more things I find that I care for, obviously my wife, my pets, extended family, whatever. I look at certain things like what are portrayed in these movies in a different light. And some of it's really hard to watch, and some of it's really relatable. Some of it I will never be able to relate to, just like most other people, the majority of civilians. But that said, I do relate to some of it a little bit as a veteran, as somebody who has deployed once. But that said, talking about that, I remember you saying like, oh, well, get ready for Born on the 4th of July. And holy shit, man. So
yeah, if you thought Platoon was intense, wait till you come home.
Yeah, so the scene in Platoon where that village gets their world rocked, that's not a scene to take lightly.
No.
Not for the faint-hearted viewer. That said, in Born on 4th of July, it's about the real-life story of Ron Kovic, who gets paralyzed over there. He's a young Marine, goes to Vietnam, goes when Kennedy's actually president, and he's totally buying the whole story. We got to fight communism. It's a big deal, and I want to stand up for my country. Because who, if not me, then who else?
Yeah.
So, he's putting his heart and soul into it, and it's something that he's wanted for his whole life. He's just admired veterans. He's admired serving. It's just he sees the honor in it. He loves his country, and that's what he's going to do. So he goes over there, and he's on his second tour. So the average tour for U.S. Marine in Vietnam was 13 months. So
Wow, okay, so just a little over a year.
Yeah, so he's been at least over a year. It could have been a year and a half. It could have been almost 26 months at that point, because we don't know exactly at what point in his second tour that he got his injury. So before he gets his injury, though, this kind of is the what do you call it? It is the start of the downfall. It's where things just start going south. He's in charge. He's an enlisted member. I think he's a sergeant.
Is he a sergeant? Because I was gonna say I thought he was like the same thing as Elias and Tom. What was
I
Tom
think he's a
Berenger's
sergeant.
character? It was Elias.
Elias was
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe.
And then Tom Berenger was. What am I trying to blank on his name from Platoon? Or whatever.
God,
Tom Berenger, because both those guys were sergeants. So I was almost picturing Tom Cruise's character. He kind of got to like that level in a sense.
He pretty much, yeah.
Because I think those guys were in for about 3 years. So Tom Cruise has probably been in there for about 3 years too. They don't say exactly, but something like that.
Yeah, and that's totally possible too. Because if you don't make your rank just normally, you'd make rank by people dying. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know if that's necessarily true. You may be put in charge of the people that your superior was in charge of because your superior died. I don't necessarily know if that would make you automatically that rank. Anyway, moving on. So he's in charge of a bunch of dudes, and they're on the one thing I thought was interesting. Sorry, I keep jumping around here, but one thing I thought was really cool, because I've not seen this as of yet in a Vietnam flick or even a movie that has Vietnam scenes. I haven't seen beach warfare. It's
the
like
total edge of Vietnam, which that's a big section of Nam, is that literally it's a beach thing. I mean, you do see it in Apocalypse Now because you see the surfing. Charlie don't surf.
In Apocalypse Now, there's a few scenes in movies with that kind of thing. But I mean, like, ultimately, most of the time, what you see in Vietnam flicks is jungle. All jungle.
It's always jungle. You're not just all of a sudden. It's like, wow, there's a snowy mountain top here.
Yeah. They had some really cool shots in as soon as the Vietnam part of the movie starts. They had some really cool shots of just good cinematography. All the dudes standing on the edge of the dunes, that orange sky. That could be a result of just a sunset. Could be, who knows, maybe some smoky air. Who knows? But it was really cool.
Some Agent Orange being spread out into the fields.
But yeah, the dudes that he's in charge of kind of happens real quick. But there's a little village on this kind of, I guess you could say, like, beachside village, ville. I keep calling it a ville, and they have the idea that there's some NVAs, maybe possibly Viet Congs, who knows, that are on the other side of this little village, and somebody just starts shooting, and everybody starts shooting, and they're blowing holes in all the structures, and which are made of like straw. So
literally huts out there.
Yeah. And Tom Cruise is saying, like, hold your fire, you morons, like, stop shooting. And they stop, but they go to check it out, looking for rifles, looking for evidence of, the enemy being there. And there's none of that. All there is, what they do find, is the fact that they wasted a bunch of young Vietnamese kids and Vietnamese just civilians, and like kids cut in half, by the bullets. A baby, one that keeps haunting Kovic, Tom Cruise's character, throughout the whole movie, is the fact that there's this baby that's just.
It's the only thing that survived.
Yes, and it's just there, like probably abandoned. Who knows? Maybe. Who knows? But it's
abandoned now.
Definitely abandoned. But it's really rough. That's a really rough scene. So, like I was saying, it's the scene in Platoon with the little village. That's not something to take lightly. But this scene, as soon as I watched that, I was like, "Jeez, this kind of takes it to a whole nother level." So yeah, that scene, and then a few more after that, as far as the war scenes go, are pretty dang rough. And aside from that, the movie's not. I wouldn't say it's a really violent film. It's just really, it's really emotionally and spiritually draining. That's where it really gets you, because you're watching the downfall and the self-destruction of a guy who saw just horrible things, did horrible things. Not because that's the person he was. It was just, he was a victim of circumstance and doing, he was a Marine in Vietnam. And it's really just a one to get through. And if you do get through the film, it's pretty rewarding, because again, it's based on a true story, and it's really cool. You sent me a couple of the
little documentaries,
little documentaries on YouTube, and those are really cool too. A great supplement to the film. They go into detail about which I also read on YouTube, or not YouTube. I read on Wikipedia about the development of the movie and stuff, and blah blah blah. And it was one that got put on hold, canceled. Al Pacino was supposed to be Kovic.
Yep,
interesting.
And this was being like the '78 or something like that. I think they're putting it together because Ronnie Kovic wrote this book. I think I want to say in '76. And then they instantaneously wanted to turn it into a movie, and then it just never really worked. They're getting Oliver Stone to write it and everything back when he was a young buck, filmmaker and so on. And then it just fell through. And Oliver Stone just kind of told Ronnie, he's like, here's the thing. Let me get famous first, and then we'll come back and we'll make this movie. You know, you can have my word on this. You know, and in that interview, Ronnie's all like, yep, he gave me his word, so I was just sitting there holding on like, that son of a bitch better make it. Put all my faith in this Oliver Stone guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
lo and behold, he pulls through and he does it, you know, and only like his 5th movie or something like that is born on the 4th of July. So, like, you know, he didn't wait forever for this.
Kind of curious. Yeah.
It's 89, so 86 is Platoon, I believe. Platoon being his 2nd movie. Then you got Wall Street in between, and I think Talk Radio. And that's about it. And Salvador is the first one, so that would cross all the lists there.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Actually, his 12th movie. Oh no, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3.
I was gonna say I did
4, 5. No, yeah, it's his fifth movie.
I mean, if you count the movies he wrote,
I was looking at the ones he wrote.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a little bit different because you got Scarface and you got Conan the Barbarian, and there's a handful of other ones in there too. But
Salvador, I haven't seen that.
I haven't either. I have that one sitting there in that box set forever, and that's one of the ones I haven't. I haven't watched that Talk Radio one either. So there's a couple of these Oliver Stone movies I wouldn't mind seeing.
Talk Radio is actually. Oh yeah. Sorry, I thought it was after. No, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah,
interesting.
But yeah, you know, and the interesting thing is to go backwards in this movie. We'll like Tarantino this one a bit, you know, because that Vietnam part comes up a little bit later. And this is one of those movies that, like, when I initially went into it, I was expecting it to be like Platoon 2. That was kind of like, because I didn't know anything about it. I just saw the cover, and I was like, cool, Oliver Stone, Vietnam, let's do it. And realistically, it's more of a heavy drama. That's its first and foremost. It happens just to have a war segment in it. But the movie itself is more straight drama, heavy-handed stuff, you know, and you're going through the life of this real-life dude. And it starts off with, like, literally 1950s America, like the dream. It's showing kids playing baseball, like hanging out, you know, cool old cars, you know, just like the classic Americana lifestyle here. And that's what Ronnie's growing up in, is he was this guy who, you know, went outside and played soldier with his friends and, like, you know, in like the forest, played on the baseball team. When he becomes a teenager, he's really into wrestling and so on like that. He sort of kind of got a girlfriend that he doesn't want to take to the prom, you know?
Yeah.
I can't remember his reason. He had a reason for why he did it. And then, of course, you know, it has a very dramatic scene. Like, he makes that decision at the tail end of the night. He's like, it's raining out and everything. And he comes running in and Tom Cruise shows up. And I just think about there's this dude that actually took her to prom. Like, well, you know, I'll fill in here. And Tom's like, out of the way. I'm soaking wet. I need this.
Yeah. So he you know, we talked about already. He's been, you know, eyeing the military for his whole life and whatever. And Tom Berenger, during one day in high school, he shows up with somebody else. This is before Tom Berenger gets wounded in the face and goes nuts. But
yeah, that's like I thought, because it felt like this could be his character, like proto
like prequel, you know.
Yeah.
And then like it, you know, and it's an alternate universe where Willem Dafoe doesn't die in Platoon.
He just goes. He actually survives that, and then he's in a wheelchair.
Yeah. Oh man, that'd be pretty interesting actually. But anyway, he Tom Berenger shows up and he's just like looking sharp. Him and this other Marine, they're talking about how it's the greatest freaking thing you can do is become a United States Marine. And Tom Cruise, he's just enthralled. You know, he's enamored, and that's what pushes him towards it. And then they show him at high school, they show him having lunch with his buddies, and you know, it's like 4 or 5 other guys, and I think some of them went in along with Tom Cruise, and then one of them stayed behind and said, "No, the Stevie is the character." He said, "I'm staying behind. I'm going to college. Why do I need to go fight a war? You know, if I'm not drafted, why am I going to go?" And that's what he does. He stays behind, and Tom Cruise and everybody else.
I was going to say, it's like the whole thing too is they're sitting down because it's the interesting thing of showing the Vietnam War and like the different stages of how it's kind of presented to people. And at this point, like all these kids are going like, man, our dads were in WW2. Like, we got to go over there. We got to come back heroes. It's going to be amazing. It's almost like the way that those kids were sold World War I and shit, what's that World War I movie called? It's also a book. All Quiet on the Western Front.
Oh yeah,
because I always think about that movie is like there's like that teacher guy's like, oh dude, you guys gotta go, bro. It's gonna be fucking awesome. It's gonna be amazing. There's gonna be like chicks and beer, and you're gonna come back and everybody's gonna think you're the coolest shit ever. And all I imagine is like that only one dude comes back that town and be like, fuck that teacher. That son of a bitch sent us all out there, told us it was gonna be awesome. There's gonna be chicks and there was gonna be all this cool stuff, and there was none of that. And we all fucking died. Well, except for me. I'm here, and I got the tortured memories, and that son of a bitch is just there teaching another group of kids.
So that's kind of the. I was gonna say that's the funny thing. It's not funny, but it's funny, and
that teacher probably thought it was funny. The teacher was an ass.
Yeah, exactly. but that's kind of like that's something you can find as you're watching these movies, going from World War I all the way to current wars, to be honest. But when I think more often than not within film or just media in general, World War II and Vietnam are compared to each other a lot. A lot of those, hell, look at King of the Hill. Cotton and his buddies, like they don't seem to really get along with the Vietnam guys.
Yep, they have a whole episode on that.
It's hilarious. But I think it's somewhat accurate when you look at it under the microscope. You got these dudes from World War II that it was quite a different generation, man, just like how our generation is different from the last in a lot of ways. Those dudes in World War II, like in Vietnam, they were drafted. Usually, like for the most part. A lot of people volunteered, but the draft was definitely in effect. And it was, of course, a vastly different war. The mission was way different. And
I will say, if you're on the Japanese side, though, or if you're fighting against the Japanese on some of those islands, it's probably not that radically different from Vietnam with that kind of setup.
No, it was not. But what was, very similar.
Fighting the Germans, because ironically, the Germans are quite civilized compared to all these other ones, and then when you are fighting the Japanese or you were fighting the Vietnamese and all that stuff like that, you got this jungle warfare and people are just not having it, And over to Japan, too, because Japan's not really used to jungle as well, too. That was a new thing for them. So as they're kind of battling the U.S. at that time period, they're kind of pissed off that they have to be down there, too. So.
Oh, yeah. And it's not that people in the we can say the European front during World War II weren't experiencing horrors on of their own.
Yeah, different kind.
Yeah, exactly. Very different kind. You look at the Holocaust and all that. You can read about or watch about a lot of U.S. military members that were coming across these people in the camps, and they're just like beside themselves because they'd never seen nothing like that before, and just didn't know what to think, other than already being shell shocked. By like the general happenings of war, but now they're seeing people that are skin and bone, in these camps and stuff, and of course we did the same thing with Japanese here in California.
California of all places, Japanese concentration camps.
Jeez, but no, it was different kind of horrors. And one thing I don't think was very prevalent during World War II, if it even existed at all, was the drug abuse. Because like we'd seen.
They had the methamphetamines was the big thing in World War II because it was invented right beforehand.
Oh, really?
And so they were handed out, especially for the German troops, they were handed out a lot of methamphetamines for them. That's where the Blitzkrieg. So the French were given like a half bottle of wine every single night. Mm-hmm. The Germans were just given straight up meth. So they came in for in 72 hours, none of them had to sleep. They could just come in and just ravish these drunk Frenchmen, And even in the Americans, they use methamphetamines, not as hardcore as the Germans. But, if you went on a night mission, that was kind of the thing there. But you didn't come home and be like, okay, man, let's hit the peace pipe. Get some heroin, chase the dragon here.
That's kind of what I'm saying. There wasn't as much, as far as I understand, wasn't as much abuse of drugs from the U.S. side as there was during Vietnam. And I think some of that, too, had to do with the generation. I mean, a lot of people in World War II that were fighting were part of like you work the fields till you die sort of thing for, for your family's sake, for your farm's sake, it was just these people experience like hard times for their whole damn life, just like their parents did and their parents. You know what I mean? Versus a lot of the people in Vietnam that went over there, whether they volunteered or not, were just they were the offspring. They were the baby booming kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they were from kids. A golden age in a sense.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Time period where you came back. The U.S. really won. It had a thriving economy post, World War II and everything like that. So like, everything was kind of in a surplus comparatively,
So I look at it, and I've seen this described too, and to the amount of truth there is to it, I don't really know, but my general idea is that just a lot of the World War II veterans were just kind of almost born tough, you know what I mean, and born to not talk about things, born to just accept what's going on. That was war. That's what happened. I'm back on U.S. soil. I'm going to deal with my life, and not that there wasn't people that served in Vietnam that didn't have that same mentality, because a lot of people are weaker or stronger than others in their mental capacity, their spiritual health and everything. But I mean, that's where I think one of the best scenes that kind of went over what I'm talking about is where this is a while after Tom Cruise, after Kovic gets back home. Don't want to go too much into detail into it because there's stuff that we still need to talk about, but where he's in a bar and he's just totally shit-faced, and he's pissed for a lot of reasons, and he's super shit-faced, and he's being real loud and obnoxious and complaining and whining, really.
He's kind of being I hate to start saying he's kind of being a bitch,
he is. It's not like he doesn't have his reasons or that he's allowed to be, but he's being a bitch.
But nobody wants to hear it. That's the thing. When you're in a place where everybody's trying to have fun and everything like that and hang out, and he's bitching, and I like because there is
the reason why I don't like to go to bars anymore.
Yeah, well, because the interesting thing is he's sitting there. He's not playing pool, but that's probably even more annoying. He's not playing pool.
Douche.
Yeah, he's wheeling around, and there's another Marine guy who's playing pool, and it's a World War II guy. And this guy gets to a point where he's just like, you know what? How about you just shut your fucking mouth? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Be a fucking Marine here.
Yeah.
And he says, I was in Iwo Jima. We lost 5,000 Marines day one. And, and Tom Cruise, instead of being like, all right, man, I'm sorry, I'm drunk. He's just like, who the fuck are you? Fuck you, asshole. You're an asshole.
And this guy's like, I am not fighting a guy in a wheelchair. Nobody wins a fight. Well, definitely the guy who fights the guy in the wheelchair is not going to be the one winning. I don't care. If I try to even claim self-defense, it's not going to happen.
Oh, man. And then Tom Cruise tries to get him to fight him. Or Ron Kovic tries to get him to fight him, it's so fucking funny. It's funny, but it's not funny, but it's
funny and sad. Like, I feel like you gotta laugh from the sidelines, but at the same time, that scene though is actually a really good example of almost like how the World War II guys kind of deal with it to how the Vietnam guys did, because the Vietnam guys, or at least is portrayed in Lost Stuff, is they express themselves a lot more. There's a lot more emotion. There's a lot more of that, where the World War II is just like, you just don't bring it up, Yep. For the most part, it's like, I remember because both my grandparents were in World War II. My grandpa on my mom's side was on the Navy, so he was on the USS New Jersey. And for the most part, I don't remember him ever really, as a kid, you just not as much, but I remember seeing the photographs and so on like that. And a lot of times you open up the photo book albums, just him and his buddies, and each one has a completely different woman in it. It's never the same lady twice. And then there's some cool pictures of the ship and everything like that. But I think from that point on, that ship's just firing cannons off from a distance and so on like that. Then my other grandpa was in the Air Force, so he flew like a B-27 bomber over North Africa and Italy. And he told a couple of stories, too, of like flying over there and you just go in those giant flat cannons and so on. He said one time that they got caught in the spotlight as they're going by. So the spotlight was focused on them and stuff and just blasting the living daylights. And then I think he got kind of like shrapnel kind of went and cut the top of his head and whatnot. I think he was navigating at this point.
Yeah.
And he's like, when we got back to the airport or whatever and we looked at it, we had 178 bullet holes throughout that plane.
Jeez.
So, but I feel like when you're in the Navy and the Air Force, there could sometimes be a different kind of whole experience comparatively to being a Marine, or especially even like in the Army and being like on the front
100%.
line. You know, and like the only thing I think about the Air Force that probably sucks is if you're a guy that gets shot down and then you're caught behind enemy lines, because then you're super screwed. You know, and that would be like Rolling Thunder, like that Vietnam one, because that dude's stuck over there at a POW camp for 8 years before he's released. Yeah,
that the actually during World War II, it was still the Army. It was the Army Air Corps.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Because the Air Force wouldn't be founded until 1947. But that said, I know that there were still a lot of pilots who were not as respected as you know, ground troops and everything. They were the flyboys. You know, they didn't have to worry about getting shot at on the ground.
Yeah,
but they still. You know, like we know, it's not like their job still wasn't dangerous.
No, well, I just always picture my grandpa. I was like, "Oh, what did my grandpa do? He was carpet bombing."
Yeah, exactly.
Because what else do you do in a B-27? You just fly over, pull the hatches.
But it's
Take
it's funny,
that,
though.
Italy.
Yeah, it's funny. The Tom Berenger, when he comes in and he's talking about how cool the Marines are and everything, he even says like, you know, I know you got your Army and your Navy and. Hell, you even got the air farce, is what he says, and I started laughing. Everybody in the, you know, all the students are laughing and this and that. And,
just surprised that one guy. Hey, well, you know what about like the National Guard? Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, but it's just that's the way it's always been. That's the way it's always going to be. And now it's probably even worse with the Space Force. That I don't understand, but
well, and then I've always heard that thing too, that a lot of times like the Army will kind of joke like the Army has to do just as much stuff as like the Marines, but the Marines just have better like PR company. That's the thing, is the Marines is just advertised, you know, the way that they are.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I looked up as much as I could about each branch before I joined. I debated between each one except for the Coast Guard. I really had no desire. And
how much you like swimming?
I don't swim very well, so I ruled the Navy out too. So it's basically between the Army, Air Force, and the Marine Corps for me. And I thought Marine Corps because I thought, you know, those guys are all badass, but I learned that they are the least funded branch. Everything's pretty much hand-me-downs or just pieces of shit. And then the Army has the most funding, and the Army actually has more desk jobs than the Air Force.
Yeah, well, I can see that. The Army is, in a sense, you know, the original.
The largest branch.
Yeah.
But yeah, what did it for me was the fact that I had 5 knee surgeries before I went in, and I was afraid of being a liability for other people. So I usually just say I'm a coward, so I joined the Air Force. But it's my dry humor there. Most people think I'm being serious when I say it, but but no, it is what it is, man. Pros and cons. That's all it is. You want to be treated nicer, you probably join the Air Force. If you want to be a fucking badass, I'd join the Marine Corps or the Army. But either then, everybody dies.
Well, then you could also be like Jesse Ventura, and you can do the Navy SEALs in Vietnam. And in his book, that was like the first time I remember reading something about Vietnam where they all liked Vietnam. Like he's like, dude, the guys I was all with didn't want to leave. They thought it was the greatest place in the world. It was like a theme park practically.
Man.
So it goes to show that it depends where you are and what you're doing. It's kind of like how your experience is going to be.
And well, for Kovic, we talked about how once he was over there, he had that traumatic event with, you know, all the civilians dying and everything. He sees it and blah blah blah. Well, like right after that,
yeah, if that wasn't enough.
And I mean, like,
if seeing all the dead civilians, you can't save that baby. You're getting pulled away from it. You don't know what to do. Now, like, you know, the North Vietnamese are showing up all of a sudden, and everybody's freaking out.
Destroyed. Like his life is destroyed. And why? Because before that scene happened, before they started shooting up those huts, he meets a new recruit. Well, not a new recruit, but new to his group of guys.
Yeah.
He says, "Where are you from?" And he tells him what unit he was in prior. He's like, "No, where are you from at home?" He's like, "Oh, I don't even remember at this point,
like
but he's
Kentucky or something."
He tells him where he's from in the U.S. And he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, he's from Georgia." And he's like, "Hey, well, you know what? This is my second tour. I ain't seen a Georgia boy die here yet. You be all right." And like he's a super competent, strong-willed, confident leader, and he gets totally shaken by the event with the civilians getting killed. And then, you know, oh, there's actually the Viet Cong or the NVAs are actually here. We need everybody outside. So he's just like shaken by all this. And then he goes outside, He's probably doing the best he can to keep himself together after witnessing what happened. And in which he says multiple times, like, it was a very confusing day. It was a very traumatic day. I look up, he sees a body coming over a dune.
Yeah, just
in the sun, running.
Silhouetted.
Yes. And he just lines up his sights and shoots him like 3 times or something, but blows his neck out. And it turns out to be the guy that he was trying to comfort and say, like, yeah, man, you'll be all right. Well, he kills him. And he's just like, oh my God. Like, he's just like beside himself. And he confesses to it. He tells his superior, yeah, I think I killed him. Like, and you could tell he's super broken. I'll say this too, unrelated to Vietnam and the whole story. This is probably my favorite Tom Cruise film that I've ever seen. So,
well, this is like Tom Cruise, like literally like shooting for like that Oscar, and I think he does win it like on some stuff. He at least is nominated. I think he won Golden Globe. I think he won a Golden Globe, maybe. I could be making this up now. I know the movie won some stuff.
I've not seen a million Tom Cruise films, but I've seen quite a bit, and I guess I've probably seen more than I give myself credit for. But
yeah, I was gonna say, like, I think most people have seen more Tom Cruise movies than they would think. But sometimes Tom gets kind of, because I look at Tom, like, to me, he's a very super actor. Like, he's like that guy that, like, I almost consider him Mr. Reliable, because I generally don't go to a Tom Cruise movie and not enjoy it, at least on some fronts.
I don't think I've not enjoyed his films. I think it's more of his real life character that I don't care for. The Scientology shit and all kind of, I don't know. In interviews, he seems like kind of a douchebag. But but that said, that's post this movie. That's like way post this movie. And in this film, it's got to be my favorite thing he's done. And like, I've seen Interview with Vampire. I've seen Legend. I've seen, which I love, Tropic Thunder. Yeah. I've seen The Last Samurai. I've seen The War of the Worlds. That movie sucks.
Yeah, well, that movie's one of those ones where, like, all the stuff that doesn't involve those 2 kids is great. Those 2 kids are terrible. They're the worst kids in any movie I've ever seen.
It is, man. It is so stupid. And then I've seen, I think it's Mission Impossible 3. Funny enough, I never saw 2, 1, or 5, 8, 6, 7.
3 is really good. That's one of the best Mission Impossibles.
That's the one with Philip Seymour Hoffman, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm gonna find her. I'm gonna kill her. I'm gonna torture her. You're gonna be so angry.
Oh man, that's hilarious. But yeah, no, I've seen that one too, and I just this movie is just he does such a good job portraying Ron Kovic, and I looked for Ron Kovic after watching this, actually during watching this film, and we looked at some of the side by side images of Tom Cruise in the wheelchair and Kovic in the wheelchair, and like he just does such a good job portraying him. But anyway, getting back to the film, great job, Tom Cruise. Love it.
Yeah. Tom Cruise really knocks out of the park, and I think this is the big thing about this movie, because at this time period, Tom was kind of like his 80s characters, even though he did play dramas and so on like that too, but he was kind of known as like the pretty boy, the young buck and all this kind of stuff. And the same year as Platoon, he's in Top Gun, which was kind of like the exact opposite. Where Platoon was kind of like, shit, war is dangerous and kind of hell-like and all this sort of stuff. Where Top Gun's like, who wants to get signed up for the Air Force today?
And that's what's hilarious is in one of those videos you sent me in the little docuseries, it says that Oliver Stone went as far to say that Top Gun is a fascist film. I mean, whatever. I love Top Gun.
I fucking love Top Gun. That I kid you not, as a kid, that was when I was a kid, because I watched the living daylights out of Top Gun, and that could have been like the Tom Berenger character for me, because I really wanted to be in the Air Force, like that. And then I had a teacher that told me, because I wore glasses, he's like, oh, you could kind of forget about it. So I literally just, in my mind, at like age 12, I wrote that off. I'm like, well, I guess I'm not doing that now. So like my military aspirations just went out the window. Lo and behold, I remember I met a girl later on. She's like, yeah, you go into the military and they correct your vision. Like, oh, well, that's not what I heard from my Vietnam teacher. He told me the glasses was going to ruin it.
Who knows?
Yeah, because I remember that was like one of the main reasons this girl was going to the military. She's like, yeah, I can get like my vision corrected. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Going back to it, so he's just he's telling the superior, I think I did this. I was a very confusing day, sir, and I believe I killed him. I believe I shot him. And the superior's like, nah, I don't think so.
Yeah, it was sunny out that day. We probably all killed somebody.
And
he's really blowing it off like it's not that big of a deal.
And he's trying to tell him like, no, I really did. And he's like, get that shit out of here. I don't want to hear that shit. You know, and like, whew, man, that was pretty rough. And I really feel like that shit is pretty damn accurate. And well, I believe it too, because this film is basically being told by Oliver Stone, Vietnam veteran, and Ron Kovic, Vietnam veteran.
Well, and I think it's that thing too, that kind of stuff you hate. It seems bad that you want to kind of tell the truth and do all that kind of stuff. But I could kind of see it come from the other guy. It's like, you're just going to screw up like the next mission and things like that. We can't just, stop right here and, let people know that you shot one of our own guys and so on. Like it causes too much paperwork and too much like problems when you're trying to just get farther in this war. Yeah. It's one of those ones. It's bad. It's almost that thing. It's done. You can't save the guy now. He's already gone. You know what I mean? Like that. But that's going to stick with Ron Kovic the whole time.
Oh, yeah. And it sure does. And, it's not very long after that, like, I don't know, a day or two, if it's whatever, he's, they go on another mission, and there's a firefight, and Tom Cruise is, he's shot in the foot.
Yeah, it's like Achilles blown out.
Back of his foot, crazy. So he's down, and he gets up, and he starts just trying to go, like,
literally goes like John Wayne, like he's going to stand up and he's going to take them all on still, even if he is wounded, instead of probably just laying down and saying like, you know what, I'm done.
Yeah. So instead of that, he gets shot in the like up here, and it goes down and out his back, and well, it does him in. He's paralyzed, and from there, man, pretty brutal. Like pretty awesome rescue scene, I must say. That was a really cool scene, because that's like techniques that are legit, like, because sometimes in movies with war, like, you see things that are like techniques or whatever being used that are like, if you really think about it, you're like, I don't see the point in that. Like, this would, you'd probably die doing this, or this dude just another Marine runs over, lays on him, puts his limb over his head, and just rocks himself up, and that's a real technique. And it was just really cool. I like seeing that kind of thing. And
they had the same military advisor guy as they did on Platoon. That guy came back, and he trained Tom Cruise just like Charlie Sheen and all those guys. So I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah, and they go into they showing him in the little like war medical tent. Man, that was crazy. That was pretty rough.
Yeah, well, that's like a big section of this movie too. Is just like the whole like him and trying to come back, and he's just even
before going to the VA hospital.
Oh yeah,
that tent section where he's in that medical tent, and like they have way too many dudes and like one doctor, and they're just like going back and forth. Okay, this guy, like, just let him die basically, because we can't do nothing. Like,
we don't have the resources. Yeah,
and then the chaplain comes over, and he's just kind of like, hey, just try not to die. Just try to stay alive. Like, do your best to stay alive. And he's like, I'm reading you your last rites anyway. And he does that, and you're just like, dude, I cannot imagine being in the midst of all this, like that is just some like morale killing, shit. And
you just see these doctors, they just kind of have that look, they come in just like, there's more dead.
Yeah.
What can you do? You just got to kind of pick the best winners out of all these here, and that's all you got.
Yep. And then so after he's read his last rites, they show him back in the I think it said like 6 months later,
something like that.
6 months or a year. I think it was 6 months. They show him in a VA hospital that's underfunded, undermanned. The doctors, nurses, and orderlies are like doing drugs, playing cards, gambling, it's just like neglecting the patients. And I would say the biggest problem with that is the fact that the place is underfunded. And only from there, things just start to get worse, with that kind of thing. Because people that get the job, they're paid, pennies on the hour. They're not going to care about what's going on.
Well, and there's so many people kind of in there too. It's like, and probably after a while, it's just, you get kind of burnt. Yeah. I hate to sort of say it, but sometimes I kind of see it's like, at some point you just get burnt out. It's not necessarily your fault.
I will say, like, I do understand that. At the same time, man, like look for a
you
different
do
job.
kind of have a job here at the same time. That
Yeah, like
you got these guys who are totally messed up. You know,
you got to have a heart for that kind of work, because if you don't, like, I don't know, man, go work at McDonald's or something.
yeah. I hate to
But-
start that you signed up for the wrong occupation here.
Yeah. But so, and then there's even like some of the female nurses, like they're having sex with some of those dudes at night. I think they're, they're basically hookers.
Yeah, pretty much. There's a little extra money on the side.
But yeah, so it's all bad. And Tom Cruise's character, at least Ron Kovic, getting rehabilitated to the best that they can do it. A doctor comes in and tells him, like, you're never going to walk again. You're never going to have kids. You're screwed. And he can't accept it. He's like, no, I know I'm going to walk again. And he's like, no, you won't.
Yeah.
And,
but he's high spirited.
He's going through a rough time, trying to heal. And oh boy, did they ever do a great job showing the conditions of that place, though. Like the scenes of showing them washing out the bedpans and oh man, it's disgusting.
Yeah, because I thought that's why I kind of forgot about that too. But when I was watching it again, I was like, I actually like how in depth it goes, because it really shows you kind of this just nasty stuff. And there's even a part where Tom Cruise's character like throws up on the ground. He's like looking at. He's like, I've been looking at this for 2 hours. Where are you guys at?
Yeah. Oh yeah, because he was in that bed that like turns over.
Because this, I guess, a little bit farther in his stay here. But because what happens is he really thinks that, I guess the lead up to even that, he really thinks that I'm going to walk, I'm going to make my legs work in. And those doctors are like, no, you're not. But he's like, well, I'm going to keep trying. And so his physical therapist dude's kind of like motivating. He's like, come on, Marine, you can do it. And so on like that. And then he gets a little bit overzealous at one point, and he's on like his Jimmy fucking crotches, or,
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he like falls
Jimmy
funny.
to Timmy real quick.
Yeah, literally, he goes from Jimmy to Timmy, 100%. He kind of collapses on there, and he ends up like totally, like badly, like breaking that leg, and it impales through some stuff. And
crazy.
If there was any point of saving that like leg, if there was any coming back from it, it's all gone now. That is done.
Yeah.
Now it's to the point where, and he's like hooked up in this like machine thing that like he's just like spinning around in it and so on like that. And he's been in it, I think, for like weeks at least by this point. And it's just like holding them to sort of together and whatnot as he's like recovering. And he has a freak out moment here because he threw up, he's looking at it, he's just hanging upside down or hanging face first down. Nobody's coming here. He's pressing the little button. It's not doing anything like that and stuff. And then when someone finally shows up, the nurse is just kind of like, yo, you got to calm down, Ronnie. And so on. He's like, I'm not going to calm down. I'm fucking freaking out here and so on. And there's even like another guy in the background, which I kind of get it. There's just like, someone's just like, shut the fuck up. And I can get it, because if you had to listen to fucking Tom Cruise bitching for like the last like 2 hours or something like that, you'd be like, dude, if I was not fucking, in my own wheelchair hell over here, I would come over there and kick your fucking ass.
Yeah. I kind of laughed at that too. But yeah, he's having a hell of a time. Like the doctors aren't really giving any real answers. The doctor that comes to see him at that point isn't even sure. He's not even sure if he's a real doctor. And he tells me, he's just like, he said, are you really a doctor? And he just looks at him. He's like, sorry, man, funds are low right now. And
the doctor before me died, so I am now promoted.
Yeah, God. But yeah, what happens when he's in that little turny, the upside down bed, whatever.
Yeah. Some like inversion
the pump,
table thing.
The pump that's like, I guess, pumping out nasty shit out of his leg. It breaks. And he almost loses his leg, but he doesn't.
Yeah, they want to cut it off. They want to amputate that thing.
Yeah, but he doesn't lose it, and it's all bad. But then I think that's about the end of the medical ward, the VA hospital setting there. They show him from then going back home. His family greets him, with open arms. They're really happy he's back, but they're also, it's very clear that they're like, we gotta fucked up.
Yeah.
And the neighbors are everyone. I've seen, you kind of see this stuff in real life too. When someone's real messed up, whether they lost a leg or they have cancer, like people that come and visit
retarded.
You look great, and it's like, no, I don't. Like,
yeah.
What are you talking about?
I hate to sort of say, as somebody who had cancer, and once you start to get to that point where like you lose all your hair and everything like that, like people do kind of look at you kind of weird. Like you don't look like a normal person anymore. You look different, because you lose the eyebrows and shit. It's not like you just shaved your head. Once the eyebrows go, that was kind of it. It's like, once the eyebrows are gone, now you look kind of strange. You know, so I could feel like a little bit of that. Like I'm not in a wheelchair or anything like that, but you could feel like, you know, people that, and they treat you sort of differently. No, mostly not bad. They mostly treat you more like, oh, look at that poor cancer boy. Give him double chicken on his order, you know, like that kind of thing. I remember going to Popeye's Chicken once, and I ordered like a platter, and like I'm like, dude, I got a double order here. I didn't order this, but that's badass. They must just like the cancer boy.
Try cancer more often. Yeah. Start just not taking your meds. You're like,
he's trying to get that. He's trying to get that chicken deal.
Extra Popeyes. You know, but yeah, that's
it's ironically because it was the only thing I could eat. Is it like it's funny? There's like once you have like that real low white blood cell count and like everything's dangerous. Like the most dangerous stuff for you is like normal healthy food, salads. You know, like not that well cooked stuff, all that kind of stuff. That's the danger zone stuff. What you want is high, you know, super boiled, super cooked, you know, anything like that. So pretty much Popeye's chicken was perfect because it's all deep fried. So you know that it kills all the bacteria and everything.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because they come in there, they're like, yeah, don't eat fresh fruit, don't eat vegetables, don't eat any of these things. You know, if you're going to have meat, it has to be well done, you know.
Wow, that's crazy. I never would have thought.
Yeah, so everything that they teach you about that, it's like, no, you go the exact opposite. More processed, more cooked, more. If it comes in a can, right? It's got a lot of salt in there, good.
Stop having normal sex. We want you to start doing dudes.
Or goats, you know. Not judging.
That's nuts, dude. Well, anyway, so he, everybody's like, oh wow, you're in a wheelchair, but I'm gonna be nice to you, you know. And it's definitely probably a real culture shock type of moment. But he's keeping it together really well, and he's really still pro-war. He's pro-America, like. Fuck the commies and you know, like all the hippies, you know, like these guys are idiots, they don't know what they're talking about, and blah blah blah. And he learns over the course of probably a week or so at home, you know, he learns that his younger brother is kind of all about the protests. He's like anti-war and everything, and Tom Cruise, like the Kovic, he can't handle it. He calls his brother out like, what? There's something wrong with me? You think there's something wrong with me? You know, like
love it or leave it, love it or leave it.
And yeah, exactly. But
he really likes that slogan a lot.
I can't really see. I'm a very middle of the road kind of guy myself, and I am like the protesters. A lot of times it's not that their heart's in the wrong place. I think sometimes they go about their protesting in the wrong way. Whereas like, what the fuck are you doing? Throwing rocks and spitting on the veterans here. Take that shit to the federal government, man. Like,
that the veterans are not the
problem. Want to go there to begin with. So, you know, and that's where his brother, he's not really wrong. You know, he tells him, he's like, hey, look, man, I just don't agree with you about some of this. He's like, you love this so much. Look what happened to you. Like, look what happened to you because you went over there fighting this war for who knows what. And he's so pissed. Like, of course, he's got tunnel vision though. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So he can't really, he's not processing it. And I think part of that is not wanting to, and part of it is probably a defense mechanism towards himself for shutting out probably the shit that he doesn't want to think about from being back in Vietnam.
Yeah, and, no, I definitely think it's kind of that. And one thing too, I just even want to say is, because he goes to Vietnam like in the early days of like the U.S. thing there. So like that is one of the most radical changing points is, you know, let's just say it's 65 is kind of when that like prom is or whatnot. Maybe it's 66. I can't remember. But so it's like mid 60s, you know, and like that's still kind of in that rockabilly. You almost have like that like post 50s kind of still look. You know, there's a little bit of hippie infusion, but like that's you don't see tons of it yet. It's kind of there. I mean, like think about the Beatles are still like wearing suits and shit. You know what I mean? So nothing's too radical yet. So you go off to Vietnam and you're probably not paying too much attention to the rest of the world at this point. When you come back, like in 69 or 70, by the time he gets back, like it's almost a completely different place. Like I don't know if there's almost more change in the world in like a 5-year period than like that section right there. Like you would almost come back and you feel like you're in a completely different country. You know what I mean? Like it does not look the same. I mean, even people's outfits and everything like that, even the casual people, you look at like mom and pop, the way they're even dressing, like, mom and pop, what the hell happened? This is not what you used to wear.
Yeah. And he learns to, you know, like his high school buddies, they all died. The only ones that didn't die was one that made it back from Vietnam, and he hangs out with them and he's telling them like, I just do a bunch of drugs, man, you know, and then Timmy, and then
the guy who has the burger joint now, he's like, oh, I'm gonna franchise this out.
Timmy or Stevie is that guy.
Yeah, they'll have an E name at the end.
He's such a douchebag, and it's hilarious because like I love how they show him meeting up with Stevie, who's got this burger joint, and he's talking about his burgers, what a great you know, business model he's got. He basically makes burgers that are hollow and just fills it in with condiments so people don't know. And he's like,
he cuts them out like they're fucking donut holes.
Fucking hilarious. And I'm thinking like, no, I want to check all the burgers I order, but
good thing that I order just the patty, so that's the only thing I see. There is no bun to be in my way.
Yeah,
you can't stuff that.
And but he's like, oh, I want you part of this, and of course Ron Kovic's like, oh, you want to be a business partner, and he's like, well, we'll start you as cashier. I've been like, you know what, fuck you, you know.
Well, that's like so insulting. It's like, dude, your buddy's in a fucking wheelchair. You can't put him as a cashier.
It is so insulting, and I love too where the guy's like, you know, just fuck the war, man. You know, like, and you know, it's bullshit. We get our asses kicked over there. And he's like, what do you mean we? You were in college, you know, and that's a huge thing. Before I joined the military, I would say I was a lot of parts of me were kind of a piece of shit, and I say that relatively speaking. But you know, like I was a person who would say, because I vacillated so much on joining, when I met other veterans or even career military members would be talking about their experience, I'm like, yeah, I wanted to join, but I didn't, you know, I was gonna, but my knee hurts, you know. And as a veteran now, the amount of people that I have heard tell me that same shit, and it is so annoying, and it's humiliating for the person, to be honest. Like, I'm usually like, oh, well, I don't know, man, it's not for everyone. Good for you. But you know, like, I want to say, like, don't be a douche. Don't try to pretend like you could be part of a club, but you're not, and you're just not part of it. You know, and
it kind of reminds me of almost the way that sometimes people talk about like sports teams when they go, "Oh man, we lost." It's like, what the fuck do you mean we lost? What did you do?
Yeah, did
you bought a sweatshirt? Is that what it is? Now you feel like you're part of a club?
Exactly.
You didn't even buy it like officially. You got some off-brand one.
Yeah.
You got the guy at like you
bought that at Marshall's.
Yeah. Bought from the carnival there. You know, that guy who's just selling them.
That's funny. Yeah, no, it's kind of the same thing. But yeah, so he kind of writes him off, you know, at that point. You don't see much of him anymore. If
I don't think you ever see that friend again, because he kind of like when he comes back, you kind of get these like one glimpses of like the friends and so on like that, you know.
But he does, like I said, he's still very pro-war. He believes in what it is. He's basically Tom Berenger's character, but just not a psychopath. Yeah. And he also can't use his legs. But he becomes the guy that he saw, the World War II veteran that he saw in
in the very beginning.
In the very beginning,
when they had this World War II parade, or just maybe a 4th of July parade, I guess what it was.
I really like the fact that they did the two parades too, for more than one reason. In the beginning of the film, you know, it's part of his character build up. You see in this parade, everybody loves the parade. Everybody that's there watching, everybody loves it when the veterans are out. And there is it could be a World War I veteran as well, who knows? But a veteran is in a wheelchair.
You know what's the cool thing is that's Ron Kovic, the real dude. Okay, I didn't know that either. I saw that in one of those little special features things. I was like, oh, that's badass. So the guy flinches when like the firecrackers start to go off. Yeah, that's him. That's okay. Yeah. So he's got a cool cameo there.
Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, he flinches. The firecrackers go off, and he's like, you know, and it's clear that the dude's got PTSD. And that's what Ron Kovic, Tom Cruise, becomes. And in this parade that he's participating in, not only do they show that, how he's kind of become that guy, they also show the difference of the opinions and the support that the veterans are having at this point. Because whereas in that earlier parade in life, everybody was like, yes, oh yeah. Now people are throwing shit at them, flipping them off.
Call them baby killers.
It is definitely different. And but it's like he just kind of shines it on. He's waving. And then, there's the little the speeches that they're giving, and he goes up to give his, and he gets kind of looks like he's got a little panic anxiety there.
He hears a baby crying, and
yes,
that's what
makes him think
sets
of
it
the
off.
baby in the earlier part of the film, and he just can't go on about it. And then they're like, "Hey, that's okay," and they wheel him off stage, and that's where his buddy Timmy, the other guy that was in Vietnam, the only other guy that seemingly survived and came back home, he gets with them, and they start hanging out,
barbecue.
Then they're having beers, talking about their experiences, talking about their childhood, and blah blah blah. And then from there on, that's where, him stinking Ron Kovic, Tom Cruise. From there, it's kind of he goes further down the spiral. And
now, does he run into his girlfriend yet, or is that a little bit later down the line? I can't remember.
So kind of not long after that, he runs into his old girlfriend. I guess he plans to actually go meet with her and see her, and they meet up. And she's talking about how much she doesn't like the war, and she's another protester. And he doesn't really care that much. It's pretty clear. He just wants to be with her pretty much. Mm-hmm. And he's telling her, like, yeah, I all I could think about was you. And tells her about how he went back to that prom and ran with her and danced with her. And he made a promise to himself that he was going to come back and love her his whole life. And she just kind of doesn't say anything about it.
Yeah, she's kind of like, well... You're kind of disabled from the waist down.
Yeah. And she pretty much, she doesn't really deny him anything. She just kind of shines it on and ignores him. And then she kind of I guess she invites him to a protest. Mm-hmm. And he goes with her and it's what you'd expect, a protest against the war. And things get a little hairy. A lot of the police officers, the security come and try to break it up and stuff, and it looks pretty chaotic. He loses her, and then he just I think that scene ends with him just yelling for Donna, and then it cuts to that scene where he's in the bar, and
maybe that's where it goes to,
and just being drunk and an asshole. And then from there, they after he almost fights the man.
Fights the Marine with legs.
A very able-bodied Marine. They bring him home, and then
that's when he has like his Oscar scene where he like yells at his mother,
Penis.
and Penis, he starts pulling it out. It's your fault, Mom. It's your fault. You gave me courage to go. She's like, I just said it would be fun, Jesus.
Yeah, that was something else. And I was like, God damn. But it was very convincing. I'll say that. It was very convincing for him being this super drunk dude, miserable, unhappy, depressed, having these PTSD freaking freakouts and just, it's nuts. And his dad, like the patient, his dad is a saint. He's super patient. Yeah. But even he's just like, you gotta like get, I don't know what, but you need help. He's like, I think you should go. And he sends him to Mexico. And
it's just like the weirdest thing. It's like, okay, your parents are like, we can't handle you anymore, so we're gonna go send you to a place that's got margaritas and loose women.
Yeah,
that's our answer. You know what I mean? Like, this is us as a Catholic family. This is what our idea of making you feel better is.
Yeah. And I love too, like she says to him, his mom's like, you can't be in this home. We don't drink in this home. And my wife's like, well, he didn't drink in the home.
He just got super hammered outside of it, and then his friends just dropped him off here at the front door.
And it's rough because it's not like he's a fun guy to be around, right? I wouldn't want to be around him.
No, he's kind of he's bitter at this point, and
so I get that. At the same time, like in that scene specifically, maybe he's brought up stuff before this scene with his family. Who knows? It's not on screen, so you don't know. But you know, in this particular scene, he starts saying some shit that, as a parent or even a sibling, I'd be like, when he's sober, I'm gonna talk to him about this because that's some serious shit. Drunk or not, some of these things don't just come out of being drunk, you know. Yeah. And but whatever, Mexico seemed like the better alternative to them. So
he's got like 9 brothers and sisters that live in this house. So they're kind of like, you know what, they probably all took a tally, like, you know, let's vote on this real quick. Do we get rid of Ronnie? Yeah, let's get rid of Ronnie. We'll just ship him off. I'm surprised there's like 2 steps away. They just put him in like a FedEx box and send him down there.
But
fish and chips.
So he goes down to Mexico. He goes to this resort and finds Willem Dafoe, and he's like, yeah, that guy's my friend right there. Say hello to, you know, he's like never met him before in his life. And then there's other dudes that are like, you got to leave this place, you know, like, and I'm wondering, like, is it a joke? Are they joking with him, or are they like seriously in that whole like Hotel California kind of, I came here, I can't leave, but you should go no matter how good those colitas smell.
Yeah, well, this ain't the weird one, because it's like, it's almost like one of those ones, like when you go down there, like if you're a dude stuck in a wheelchair, because I was really thinking about this, like it's one of those ones, like imagine yourself being stuck in a wheelchair. And nowadays, I kind of hate to sort of say it, like, yeah, it would kind of suck, but like we kind of live in the age where it's like, shit, that just means like, oh, I guess I can only just sit around, play video games, and watch movies all day long. Well, that's not that's not so bad. You know, I can just work out my upper body. Like, okay, cool. Like nowadays, I feel like it's really not that bad, as long as like your bare essentials are kind of taken care of. But I look at it like in the 70s, like stuff, it's like, that's like that time period, like, well, I hope you like reading, because I don't know what else you're gonna do. You know, that's like that thing. So it's like, it feels like to be sent down to Mexico, where it's like, okay, you're just kind of in nice weather. There's literally a bunch of other dudes that are in the same ballpark as you. Yeah. You just got this like wheelchair party club. You know, everybody's from Vietnam. You don't have to deal with those World War II guys down here, you know, picking on all you guys. Yeah, no Korean vet guys that are gonna be like Teasel from fucking Rambo chasing you around. You know, no. And they also mentioned, like, because I want to say that, like, there's a scene where Tom Cruise says he's getting like $7,000 or something a month for the government. I was like,
$1,700 a month.
Oh, $1,700. Even still, it's like, that's a lot of fucking money in like 71, you know?
Yeah.
Shit, that's enough money you could live off of nowadays, just, you know, borderline, if you weren't doing a whole lot, you know? So the fact that these guys have all this money, it's like, well, of course, that's why they're blowing it on the hookers and booze and so on like that down there. You know, because in those, I think that's why the hookers are so like compassionate to them, because they know that check's coming in every single month from the government, that these guys are just a fucking free meal ticket.
Dude, one of those girls at one point, because he finally, it's like his first interaction with a woman. This one hooker just takes him upstairs.
I think you got to think about it too, is he never really had a true, because he's like 50s style, so like he almost left the Vietnam so early that he never really had a proper, like, you know, he had his partial girlfriend, which was just this girl he really knew his entire life.
Yeah,
but they never went the distance.
Or nothing.
Yeah, exactly. They never got to the making it part.
He's never, the dude's a virgin.
Yeah, and now his wiener doesn't work.
Yeah, and he's, and of course I don't know if Ron Kovic was really a virgin before he went to Vietnam. I don't really care to know either. But in this scene, this hooker takes him upstairs, and he's kind of nervous about it too. It's kind of hilarious. You know, like, you know, hey, you want to go upstairs? I mean, I don't know.
Well, I thought the dude's like, you want to go upstairs? Well, I'm in a wheelchair. No, that sounds terrible. You got somewhere on the first floor?
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
We're in Mexico. There's probably not a wheelchair ramp or elevator.
Man, I really didn't think about that.
Like, that hooker probably carried him upstairs. I don't know how else he would have got there.
She deserved an extra tip. I guess they all did, because it seems like
they're carrying these guys left and right. That's why they're kind of a little bit more burly looking ladies down there.
Holy crap!
They gotta pick these guys up all the time.
But so she's up there with him, and he's like being super awkward, nervous, whatever, and kind of freaking out because his wiener don't work. And my wife and I were talking about this. We're like, you know, there's a lot of paralyzed dudes that they're not completely impotent. So we were kind of calling bullshit on it a little bit, but I did some extra digging, which I felt really weird about.
Well, because as I say, it's a real story. I'm pretty sure the guy's not going to lie about that part in his book.
Well, I thought maybe they were going to go in the direction of like, I don't know, Ron Kovic in the movie, like, wow, I didn't know I could actually do this. The doctor was wrong, but no, it seems that he was totally impotent, which made me wonder if that's the case, why would he continue paying these? Like, what is he even paying them for? I don't know. But
I think it's just that, like, it's like a companionship thing. I think that's what it is. She plays with this colostomy bag.
Yeah. Suck on this bag.
Squeezes it out.
Oh, that's so gross. That's so gross. But yeah, so they have this intimate moment, I guess, and he's like crying and shit. And then later on, there's a one of the other hookers, like, she's not available, and he's just like, he's going for whoever's gonna go for him. And she's like, I'll fuck you for 40 pesos. And that's like today, that's like $3.
I know. I thought about that too when I heard that. I was like, yeah. Even back then, I can't imagine it being that much,
Like, holy crap.
I mean, like, the Mexican peso definitely fluctuates throughout time. Like,
I see.
It doesn't stay to like the American dollar. It has changed. Like, it can like drastically double and triple all the time, and go the opposite way. But still, I thought about that too. Yeah, that lady talking about like the fucking dime store, fucking your Dollar Tree special hooker.
And so he's there for a while, and then it shows him and Willem Dafoe basically getting kicked out, and it's kind of Willem Dafoe's fault, kind of and kind of not. Like, I mean, like, he claims this woman insulted his penis, and then gets thrown out, and Kovic's trying to defend him, and he gets thrown out, and then they get a cab to go to some other brothel, which Willem Dafoe is like, oh, it's the best, you'll love it. And then they get kicked out of the cab for being ridiculous.
Yeah, because Willem Dafoe's talking shit to the cab driver.
Yep. And then finally, this is where we get to the apex of filmmaking, where him and Willem Dafoe
the infamous wheelchair
argument over who killed more babies. And so Willem Dafoe's like, I bet you never even killed a baby. You weren't even in the war, and he's like, maybe I killed more babies than you. And it's just fucking insane.
And then they start like fighting each other and slapping each other across there and so on, because you can only do so much when you're in a wheelchair.
And then they both get they throw each other out of their wheelchairs, and they're like, well, what do we do now? And then, by sheer luck, some dude is driving by and sees him and helps him out.
Yeah, and that could have been the end of the movie, realistically. They're in like the middle of the desert practically, and they've fallen out of their wheelchairs, and they've like rolled down the hill too. So like the wheelchairs are tipped over and so on like that. It's going to take some drastic effort to get back up that hill. And lo and behold, this dude just sees. I'm surprised the guy didn't see something. Like, oh, cool, free wheelchairs on the side of the road. Puts them in the back and drives off.
But so
that was a good Samaritan right there.
No shit. And from there, he pretty much like. That's the end of Willem Dafoe. You don't see him again. But Ron goes back to the U.S. and he's he's starting to turn a new leaf. Mm-hmm. His eyes have kind of been opened. He's more open-minded, and he's really thinking about the problems that he has, the problems that every other veteran has, who's seen the horrors of war, the horrors of Vietnam. And now he is a protester. But what he's doing makes sense. It makes so much sense. I'm not saying that the other protesters didn't make sense. What I'm saying is, if I'm a hippie and I'm just like, fuck war, and I start destroying shit.
For no reason.
I could just live life like a normal person. I'm not suffering because of the war. A veteran who comes back from war, who was in those shitty, horrible situations, whose head is fucked up and they're not getting the treatment they need from the VA. The government doesn't care about them after they used them. These guys, that's what I'm saying. Like, I see that and I go, I would 100% want you guys to be out on the street saying, like, help us out. God, my elbow, I had a cortisone shot in my elbow yesterday. It hurts like shit.
But old war injury.
Technically, it's not war, but it kind of is an old injury. But so that's the start to his rise back into kind of being a man, if you will, because what he says to his dad before he goes to Mexico is, his dad asks him, like, what do you want? What can I do for you?
And his dad literally does like everything for this guy. This is like a super dad.
Hair, that's why I was like that. I probably look like a weirdo, but
as I said though, his dad though is the dude who does like so much for him. Like literally, you know, he goes above and beyond the Call of Duty. Like, dude, he's fucking helping him with his bags. He's helping him with all his stuff. He's taking him anywhere. Like that dad will do anything, and he's always nice about it too.
Yeah,
you know.
And but he tells him that when he says like, "What do you want? What can I do for you?" And he tells him, "I want to be a man again." He's like, I want someone to love me. I want to be a man again, you know. And it's like his eyes have been just totally opened. Well, he's being more accepting of how to go about life. And this is where, you know, as he's protesting, he goes to the Republican convention where nobody wants these guys there. They don't want these veterans in there. Talk about how shitty the war is and their experiences, how bad they are. And he's just unrelenting about like what he thinks and what he knows to be fact about what the government's doing, what's going on with the war, and how that nobody's helping any of them out. And they're just chewed up and spit out. And they don't like it. And they like law enforcement officers just like try to arrest him. Like for what? He didn't really do anything.
Yeah, I want to say that this is one. At least some of this stuff's actually on footage because it was an actual TV cam. So there's like the actual Ron Kovic stuff. I think that was kind of cool in that little documentary. They showed some of that. Yeah, you know, as he's there, it might not have been this exact one, but like it showed some of those ones too, where he's really kind of saying it to him. And they don't want any of these veterans hanging out around the Republican convention with Nixon out there and all that kind of stuff, trying to push this war farther.
And then what was it? So as he's almost getting arrested, he's telling these dudes who knock him out of his wheelchair, he's like, "I'm paralyzed, like I can't move," because they're yelling at him, this and that. Just a horde of fucking veterans come up and they basically rescue him and other dudes who were almost getting arrested, and they put him in another chair or his chair, whatever. And he kind of goes back to being a leader, and he tells them like, "We're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to take over this crap, we're going to make this shit happen," you know. And like puts his goals out there, like those immediate goals, and they go after it. And then it cuts to a short time later where he's suit and tie, not looking like a homeless person anymore, and basically like he's on his A game. And this is where in real life he's a huge advocate for veterans, for the people who've gone through the shit and they need help, and people that like he wants people to know what has happened to them, what they're doing. Like he wants to raise awareness, you know. And he gets his platform, and then that's about where they end the film.
Well, they ended it's like he's at the Democratic convention or whatever. Yeah, you know, in '76.
But basically, like they ended with him like putting his voice out there, like on a international level or just national, I guess.
Well, and people now are like they're listening to him. It's not like he has to protest this anymore. Now he's actually, you know, a speaker that they want to be there.
Yeah, exactly. And he thinks about it. He remembers when he was a kid and his mom tells him like, "Oh, I had a dream about you. You were speaking to a lot of people." And at one point he thought that dream was him talking to everybody after he came back from war, speaking to a crowd. And then he thinks, no, that's me now speaking to the nation, about this shit. And it was a pretty fitting ending. I wasn't expecting it to. I thought maybe you were going to see a scene of him talking to the TV footage, like all the huge audience that he probably had and whatever, but didn't really make much of a difference. What he said there at the end was appropriate, and just it was really good. I thought it was a great ending to it. I thought the whole movie was, from start to finish, it is just a wide array of emotions, and you see. It's like a color wheel of situations, of scenarios that are portrayed extremely well. And I was telling my wife, I said, this is the guy I have to thank for me and most other veterans that are having to use the VA or whatever for shit, because if he didn't make such a big stink about stuff, if he didn't do what he did, and I'd probably still be dealing with the VA just like he was in the beginning of the movie.
Yep, exactly.
just like crap, just absolute crap. But through his efforts, like so many people have reaped the benefits of it. So really cool. I really like how this movie, not unlike Platoon, with all the things that are very accurate of what happened, but what's even better about this one is that not only is it as good of a film just because, it's also factual. Like it's a true, based on
based on, well, and the cool thing is too is that like Kovic and Oliver Stone wrote this movie together. So like it's not like one of those ones like, cool, hey, nice book, guys, see you later. No, he's like right there the whole time. So and even like Tom Cruise would talk to him, be like, hey, am I doing this part right? Can you tell me? He's like, dude, you're doing a good job. Just keep doing what you're doing, and all that kind of stuff. There was one scene that when he comes home from Mexico, we forgot to bring up, but he goes to the family of the guy that he accidentally shot in Vietnam. And he has this dude, like this taxi cab driver, take him all over the place. He goes to the graveyard first. I can't remember, but to see somebody. Yeah, one of his friends.
It was the guy he killed, if I'm not wrong.
Oh, I guess it was the guy he killed first. Yeah, so he goes there first. He goes to the grave, there, and then he goes to the family's house. And this family's just kind of like out in the middle of nowhere. They literally have like a copious amount of junk in their front yard. Yeah, it feels like I see these houses all the time. Where there's just junk out there and so on. And then he goes inside, and the whole family's kind of living in there. And even like the dude's like wife, and he's got a kid and everything like that. They're just living with like the other side of the family or something like that.
With the dude's parents.
Yeah. And it's one of those ones where I guess she doesn't have her own parents, so who knows what kind of situation that is. But he goes there and he pretty much has to explain it. He like breaks down in tears and everything. He gets super emotional and everything like that, to the point where like the parents kind of accept it, but the wife's like, I can't accept this, but hopefully God can accept it.
Yeah, she says that she can't forgive him, but that's between him and God. And my wife and I were talking about that, and kind of like,
if maybe you should just come run over the dudes with his arms up in the air like some fucking lunatic.
Yeah, like,
you know what?
She was like, if this guy was in front, she asked me, she's like, do you think you could forgive him? And I said, that's a really hard question to answer. I said, I think I could. And she said, well, the reason why I say that, because I said, I think I could, but I don't know. I guess someone would have to kill my son or my spouse, and I'd have to really think about it. That said, hearing his story and looking at him, I would not believe that he tried to do that he meant to do that. You know what I mean? I'd be pissed, and I'd be like, man, it really sucks. But looking at him, I'd be like, you clearly have suffered over this.
In fact, you're almost suffering more in a weird way.
And I think the mom even said, I can only imagine the guilt that you've carried, all this time, the amount that you've suffered all this time, or whatever she said. And but my wife said, yeah, she's like, I mean, I'd be thinking about him being in that wheelchair and just being fucked up, and I'm like, we were kind of on that same page. Like, I guess it's just a very personal thing and very subjective. Yeah.
Well, and I'm one of those kind of people that, like, a lot of times in life, if something happens and you can't change it, like it's already gone past, I kind of have that thing where don't worry about it. It's one of those ones, like, there's nothing you can do. Like, the worst thing you can do is get angry over something that can't be changed. Yeah. And that's a perfect example of that, too. I mean, yeah, it sucks. And, like, it's like that's going to affect everybody's life there. But, realistically, if he didn't die there, there's a 1,000 other chances he have, But the fact that I think that Ron Kovic goes there and he explains himself and everything like that takes even more courage in a sense. Oh, yeah,
for sure.
Because he didn't have to do that. He could have been like that. What that military guy was like, just forget about it. It was a bright day out. I probably shot 3 guys. I don't know. Like I'll probably shoot 2 more tomorrow. Like it just happens.
Yeah.
Just blame it on the Viet Cong. Blame it on that. Maybe that baby shot him. I don't know. That baby looked dangerous.
God.
Guy sets a gun in the baby's leg. See, look at the baby's got a gun in his hand.
But yeah, no, it was fantastic film, man. I got to be one of my all-time favorite movies in general, and a fantastic war film, war drama.
Yeah, it's so well put together. I think Oliver Stone knocks it out of the park. I mean, that's why it fucking won some awards too. And, you know, I mean, this is like one of those movies that legitimately wins like awards. You know, because so many times you see like Oscars and like all that kind of stuff, and you're like, yeah, that movie kind of sucked. Let's be honest. You know, who did he have to go out and blow to get that movie up on there? And this is one of those times where you see like this is like those like legitimate movies. It's like, oh yeah, this makes sense why this won. And Tom Cruise fucking knocks it out of the park. Like he's going hardcore in his acting. You know, it's kind of like when Leo like wanted to try to win that award, so he pretty much just gets mauled by a bear and goes through a movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's what Tom Cruise kind of felt like in this one. Yeah, Revenant. It felt like Tom Cruise was like making that sacrifice in this movie. Except for no, you know who he lost to? He lost to fucking Daniel Day-Lewis. That's
right.
For My Left Foot.
Yep.
But then again, how do you beat Daniel Day-Lewis? That you're taking on the champ right there.
Yeah, no kidding.
I bet you Tom Cruise was so pissed because that'd be like, dude, I was so close. So did you see what I had to go through? You know, I was literally good. Me and Oliver Stone thought it was going to be a good idea for me to shoot myself up with something that was going to make me paralyzed for 2 days so I could get really into the role. And the fucking insurance company's like, don't do that. That's Tom Cruise there. He's a money-making machine. Don't you dare try to paralyze him for real.
Yeah. But hey, man, that's definitely one for the books. I'm looking forward to Heaven and Hell. Like I said,
it's actually Heaven and Earth. I know I keep saying Heaven and Hell, but the movie's actually called Heaven and Earth. I saw it pop up on there. I'm like, dude, I think on like the last like 3 or 4 podcasts, I kept referring to that movie as Heaven and Hell. It feels like Heaven and Hell. Let me say that. Because once again, if you thought this movie was heavy, I actually think Heaven and Earth gets even a little bit more intense.
Oh boy.
So we're going down this dark road to Vietnam, and this time we're going back to Vietnam. We're going to go all the way back 12,000 miles or whatever the heck it is, you know, and get back there and see what it's like from the Vietnamese side and so on. We get Tommy Lee Jones in the next one too, so, you know,
sweet.
You get that there. But yeah, this is one of those movies that's like, I think it's well worth checking out. I know it was kind of a big movie like when it kind of came out. I think it's kind of a forgotten movie by nowadays. You don't hear a whole lot of stuff about this one anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, Platoon's the one that kind of stood out, and then I feel like Heaven and Earth and Born on the 4th of July kind of got sort of like pushed to the wayside. Granted, there's just so many movies out there. What can you do?
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those ones like if you want to see probably one of the best Tom Cruise performances, if not the best Tom Cruise performance, I actually don't know.
This would be it.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I can think of other Tom Cruise movies I like more Tom Cruise wise, but I can't think performance wise that he does anything as like fucking good as this is.
It's just very authentic and it's hard hitting.
Yeah. And then, you know, Oliver Stone, he's firing all cylinders, but he's always kind of firing on all cylinders, you know. But yeah, check out Born on the 4th of July. Just an excellent movie. Just really gives you that experience of coming home and just gives you the perfect, just from like that 50s, like all Americano lifestyle to like the build up to the war, the 70s when everything takes a drastic turn, and the fact that his character can take that turn as well too, and you know become a freedom fighter in the long run, you know, and you know fight a brand new war. But yeah, excellent film. Glad we watched it. You know, I was glad I saw it again because this is the second time I've seen it, and I've always thought about this one. Like, it stuck with me from like the first time I watched it. It's definitely even sticking with me even more now by having, you know, the double experience. But beyond all that stuff, you can always check out more podcasts, not only Old Man Orange, but Silent Evil and Via VHS, all at YouTube and Spotify. Till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Dave Candido.
And we'll see you some other time.